They're always something.
Yo, good day. Welcome to another episode of the RoadFS DetailBookie Podcast. We had a little bit of technical difficulties. I think it was this guy. I don't know. But, hey, we're live. We're ready to rock and roll.
We're ready.
We are super excited. We have the legendary Angela Gilham. I'm telling you, man.
Yeah.
Every time you go to the show, the people that I talk to about boats are Angela, Rashid,
Mike's Marine Care.
Mike's Marine
And
Care.
Mike's Marine Care actually
legends.
was the first one to comment when we said we were having you on, and he said, she's the bombalicious.
Yes, he did.
So I'm like, that's the new thing. We have you should put that right next to it's Angela Bombalicious.
Bombalicious. That's right. So how you doing this
morning? I'm doing pretty good. Just hanging out. We have weird weather. Like, I don't know. It was like I'm debating if I'm going to be able to work today. Hopefully.
Man, yeah,
it's been weird between warm and then like we had a freeze warning last night, and it's been raining for like 4 days straight. So, it's all good. So you're just getting into boat season, I'm assuming.
I mean, we do a year round for the most part. This year was the first. Like this year's been really weird because of the weather. Because we started flooding in November, and then it got cold through December, and then it's just been rainy. But for the most part, we do stuff year round if we can. Like I tried the first couple of years, I didn't really do year round. I didn't know how to, but then I kind of figured it out and adjust what we do during the winter time. So, but boating season, I mean, opening day is in for Seattle, which is one of the biggest boating things. Is I think May 2nd, something like that. So that's coming up. I think this weekend is Daffodil Weekend, which is a big thing out here. So it's like getting stuff ready for all of those events. And then, and then it goes like 4th of July or Memorial Day, 4th of July. So there's things that are coming up for all these boaters because they want their boats ready. So
let's talk about where are you at specifically in the area? Are you actually in Seattle proper or?
No, so my business is based in Tacoma, but I do probably like 90% of my work in Gig Harbor. So,
okay. So Gig Harbor, Seattle, Tacoma. If you guys aren't familiar with that area, they're all pretty connected there, and
you said something kind of interesting there. You said you figured out how to move through the winter. What does that look like as a boat person? Because I mean, for those of us that have been to Seattle, it seems like it's always raining, so it would always be the same.
Yeah, so actually, it's funny because everybody's like, it rains all the time there. And okay, yes, right now, currently, we have weird weather, yes. But for the most part, it doesn't rain, I think, how people think it rains. It's actually, we get really nice springs, summers, and falls. So we actually have, for majority of the time, depending on how hot it gets in the summer, we'll know what's happening in the winter. But from like March until October, September, sometimes you can push November, it's pretty decent. It's actually like pretty good. But what I figured out is like, what's that?
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, but what I figured out is during that season, I can do all of like my real detailing stuff, like ceramic coatings, film, and stuff like that. And when we get into like when it turns into rain, then we just switch to more to washes and film. So
gotcha. And I was going to say, if you're familiar with that area, summer doesn't actually start till after the 4th of July. Usually the day after 4th of July, it turns about 88, and it's really nice there. So,
yep. And then a couple days later, it just drops back down. But we do we do get up there. Like we get up in the hundreds sometimes because, a couple years ago when after my ladder fall, I was stuck on my back because I couldn't walk. And it was 100, 108, something like that. And I just had to lay there in front of like an AC unit. I think if you were at AFO, you could see how hot it was.
It kind of varies, but I think that's really deceptive is people don't understand that even if you go look up the amount of rain, it's not, I don't think it's even 50%. I think it's like 14 days a year. 14 days a month. So it's great weather. We go up there a lot. We have relatives in Seattle, so we're up there all the time, and it's deceptive. People go visit there in the summer, and it's like this beautiful 80-degree day.
Let's
and
move here.
We're moving here. And then when it's 62 degrees and raining, they're like, let's move home. You know,
so how go ahead.
So yesterday it was sleet, and today the sun is out. So it's like, you know.
Yeah, that's kind of Idaho right now. It's like you can't tell what it's going to be. So how did you get into boat and yacht detailing?
Well, I've been on boats like my whole life, thanks to my dad. He was on boats his whole life, and like he's a yacht club guy. So there was that, and I just kind of, after I worked for Salvation Army for a long time, and I did a lot of like just regular jobs, but after I graduated college, I knew I was going to switch. Like I was going to switch from doing what I was doing to something else. And I was just like on Craigslist, and I saw an ad for like a boat detailer, and I was like, I can do that, because I'm actually ASE certified for auto body tech. Like I'm an auto body tech.
Wow.
Like I have, so I started there like when I was like, I went to Job Corps and did that whole thing. And I'm one test away from being like a master technician for auto body. But the whole point of that was because I wanted to paint boats, but that, you know, in the early 2000s would have been really hard for somebody like me, a woman, to get into. And so I just kind of like put that on the back burner. And I did auto body for a little bit, but I did, after graduation, find like this ad for a boat detailer, and I was like, I can do that. I've detailed cars, and it's not rocket science. And I mean, my boss hated when I would say that, but it was easy for me, and I was good at it, and so that's how I got into it. But I really paid attention to how I was being treated, and I kind of just moved my way from Seattle down to the Tacoma Gig Harbor area. And I worked with people, and then some stuff happened, and I was like, I gotta just start my own business because this isn't okay. So we did, and I just started. But I've always been on boats. I have no interest in cars. People always ask me that. Like, I mean, if my car drives, like, great, but I don't care about like what's under the hood. So what I probably feel about boats is probably what people feel about cars.
Yeah.
But like even my truck, like I just got my truck, and I remember like I took it up to AFO, and Grant was like, you know, Grant Menard, and he's like, did you look under the hood? And I was like, no. I was like, I bought it because I like the inside. And so it's like, you know, I very much like, I did pay attention to things, but I very much don't care about cars. Like, I think I listen to people talk about cars all the time, but that's probably how I talk about boats. So I actually like boats, and so pay attention to that.
That everybody has their own interest there, but I think that is. I'm going to go back to a statement you made about detailing boats is easy compared to what you were doing. And I think people have to realize, if you've never like sanded down the side of something that's 40 feet long, taped it off, primered it, sanded it down again, gone back and fixed all the pinholes, taped it off again, and then painted it, you have no idea the amount of hours that goes into auto body and painting. And comparatively, it is the effort, the hours, and everything. And you get, to me, the difference, because I've done a lot of auto body painting and stuff of hot rods and stuff as well. And it's more of an instant gratification with detailing versus painting. Painting is a massive gratification. I mean, if you want to see something that goes from crap to really good, painting auto body is awesome for that, right? You take something that's just either mangled or it's a mess, and all of a sudden you get done and it's beautiful. But detailing, that happens faster, and that's I guess that's the thing, is you get more. It's more instant gratification. So, and you know, so I honestly, and Jody was joking about this at the beginning, but you are kind of among what I would say the elite boat detailers in the industry.
Yes, thank you.
People, the names that you know, you're one of them. So, how many years would you say you've been doing boat detailing? You can include the auto body because that's, you know.
Well, I mean, I've been in business 11 years. So like I hit that on January 18th. And I think just in general, like detailing in general, I started when I was younger, but I mean, I went through Job Corps when I was 21. But I've been on stuff. I mean, when we lived on the boat, we used to like clean people's boats when I was like 14 just to like make $1, you know, but we were like, so there's that. But I say like really hardcore into it or into detailing. I mean, I spent time, you know, like with after Job Corps, like working for Ferrari and Maserati of Seattle. They contracted out to a body shop that I worked at, and we would have to repaint and then detail out those cars so they have like that glass finish and there's zero orange peel. And so that's really where I started. And that was actually my first job out of Job Corps, was doing that. And I was like, oh, this is crazy being on Ferraris and Maseratis like every day. Because at the time, young me thought that was really cool, but older me, I'm like, it's regular. Like,
well, you know, it's regular. I love that. That's funny.
No, and I don't think that. I think people look at that sometimes and they don't understand what that means. But I've said that before. Like there's one time we were at SEMA, and I told Jody, I said, I'm tired of looking at Lamborghinis. They're just like, whatever, there's another Lambo. And that sounds cocky, but it's not. When you see that stuff every single day, it doesn't excite you in the same way that something else does, right? And the first time I ever worked on a boat, where I would say I really worked on a boat, was at Rashid Baker's shop in Jacksonville. And he had this, it was a giant, I don't even know what it was. You could go look at the videos and stuff.
Center cockpit.
It's like some 40-some foot thing with 4 engines on the 40 back. Foot. It's massive. And I got a different respect for people then, but I had a small boat, a little open bow thing. And I detailed it, and I was like, boat detailers are insane. You guys are killing yourself, because you're in and you're out, and you're in and you're out. Your shoes are on, your shoes are off, and you're underneath, and you're over the top. I'm like, this is insane. These guys are crazy. Yeah. So how do you keep yourself motivated to continue to do this, knowing the sheer amount of work that's involved?
I don't know. I think because I'm on the water, I can take breaks and see stuff. I mean, it's gonna sound kind of cliche-ish, but it's like we can take breaks and look at our surrounding. Like Washington's a beautiful state, and every day the beauty is different when you look at it. But I mean, we have the opportunity, like while we're working, to see a lot of wildlife, like eagles, herons, seals, randomly a sea lion, like things like that. But I don't, when it comes to actually working, I can compartmentalize on the job, because we actually do a lot bigger than what Rashid does in his shop, because like our bread and butter is like 60, 70 and above, you know, so, and for me to do something smaller, it's fine, but it's like, I don't find joy in like the small stuff. I like the big stuff because it's like
40 feet small.
Yeah, those tiny 40
those tiny 40 foot. No, I get it. I love that perspective. Yeah. But I also don't think that people really appreciate what it means to be in a marina. Dude, when I go to Marina Del Rey, you know, where my son's boat is, dude, there's just a piece. Just walking down the marina, looking at all the different yachts and boats and catamarans and different sizes. And like you said, the sea life, the bird life, I mean, it's just so random. So I can appreciate that. So, and I was going through your socials, and you were asked, would you rather ceramic coat a boat or PPF a coat, PPF a boat? So I wanted to explore that, because it seems like PPF in marine world is really becoming the hot topic right now. So you want to expound on that and why?
Yeah. So, honestly, like for me, I prefer to PPF a boat. We just got done doing like a 68 footer, and he had dead gel coat. Realistically, he should get his boat painted, but that's not always an option for everybody. So we had probably spent 100 hours buffing on his boat and didn't get anywhere. And there's a point where I can say like, okay, like I don't want it to seem like I suck at my job, but sometimes the sun really tells you what you're doing, and it really shows you that you might not have it. And it's not that I didn't know what I was doing. We went through the whole sanding process, the whole cut, polish, all that process, but there's nothing that could change. Nothing will change dead gel coat when it gets that far.
Yeah.
So we filmed it, and we probably had done 100 hours or more in buffing, like sanding, buffing, and all that stuff. And we probably had that thing realistically filmed in about like 40 or 50 hours,
Wow.
like the whole thing. And so film for me, it's like, it is a nice stepping stone, and I like it. It's easy for us to install. It's like you put it on, you work it out. Yes, we're doing giant pieces, and we do have to go through and do like some fine tuning. But at the end of the day, we can do like 4 hours and probably have like a third of the boat done. With the two of us, so 8 man hours, could probably have a third of the boat done. Where if you're cutting and polishing and sanding or doing any of that, that's like a mission and a half. I also look at like what's safest for us to do, and also like what the clients want, and how can we get them their boats protected in a timely fashion. Like this wasn't very timely, just because we were supposed to start last year, and then the weather happened. But there were just so many variables on this particular job. But I would do film, and we can do film anytime, basically, because we can do it in the rain and we can do it in the sun. So,
wow, I didn't realize that. So how does the marine PPF hold up to the sun over time?
It really will, really good. We have, I have a boat, it just sold, and we did film on it. I think it's going into its 6th or 7th year with film.
Wow.
And it looks really good. Like really good.
That is awesome.
But we're not doing the hull. So that's one thing I think that, I went out and I trained at Rashid's shop. So I had the opportunity to see that, where I think like the size boats that he's doing, he's going to focus on like the hulls, right? For us, the size boats that we're doing, we're focusing on what our high impact areas are. So that is areas that are blasted in the sun. So hard tops, upper brows, horizontals, cleats, things like that. That's what we're focusing on. And we also focus on more of this transition of like, if somebody can't get their boat painted, is this an option that we can do to help you save for the duration of the film, so that you could get your boat painted, if that makes sense, So that like we sell it a little bit differently. It's like some people are going to sell it as protection. We want to truly just protect this. We do want to protect everything, but we also are giving people the option, because of the boats that we work on and they're older. We give them that option of like, hey, we also have this option if you can't afford to get paint yet. So that's something that we look at a lot.
Okay.
So
interesting.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about the other thing I want to talk about with you today, and it's a follow-up to your conversation with Keith DePlessis on the IDA podcast, and that's about pricing. You said something that really caught my attention. You're like, you increased your prices 80%, or
yeah, it was 80%.
That's a huge jump.
Yeah. So I mean, that thing was like, because I worked with Grant for about a year, and within the first like I want to say month, not even month, maybe like 2 weeks. Like it was just we had a thing. We wrote down what I was gonna do. I had to follow all these deadlines according to myself. But I had always wanted to change my prices, and it was just this easy conversation like of just change your prices. And I was like, okay. And then I was just like, I'm just going to throw something out there and we'll see what happens. But I had been looking at the market all over, from Florida all the way here. And I think that Washington has the lower pricing, but what I was doing was more of what's being priced on the East Coast. And so I had to figure out how to bring up the pricing out here for all of us to be competitive anyway. So actually a lot of people have raised their prices. I've seen that. But there's things that I was doing that is not, it's not like your $25 a foot or your $35 a foot price. There's and then you gotta think like I also had a crew of like 15 or 20 people. So it's like I gotta figure out and what I was gonna do. And he said, like Grant said to me, he said like if somebody, like he goes, if 3 people say no in a row, then he's like, lower your price back down. But nobody complained about the pricing. They just like, I changed it, and I changed my price January 1st and July 1st every year. Whether I go up $1 or a couple dollars, it just depends. But I went up substantially, because I really did think that like $150 a foot was a lot, and it might be. Like my mom will say it is, right? And And I'm like, okay, but there are other people who are just like, no, that's realistic. But then I realized that's really, really low. That's really low for ceramic coating. That's really low for film. So then I had to figure out how are we going to adjust this to get it up. And I just picked a number that put me at that 400 on the low side. And I think the highest I've ever charged was at about $750 a foot, like 750 bucks a foot.
Wow. So you talk about hitting 3 customers, right? Were they new customers or were they existing customers?
So it could have been if it was an existing customer or a new customer. New customers don't really know pricing.
No, exactly.
I have to explain. Yeah. So I explain a lot to them, but if it was like an existing customer that might've been, say, from like year 1, they might be like, I'm not paying that. But I also do a thing, like if we have a price, and I've done this since I started my business, if we have a price that we've come up with, you're going to keep that price. If I was doing a sealant or a wax, they're keeping that price for the next 3 years, right? Mm-hmm. And then at 3 years, their price will change. And then, so they keep that price. And it's kind of interesting now because we can pull coatings out pretty long if we maintain it properly, that when they do get their next coating, it's going to be in about 2.5, 3 years anyway. So they're going to go up in price. But I kind of did that just so that people would be like, oh, she likes us, and they stayed with me. And I've had almost the same clientele for a long time. As time's gone on, I've outgrown some people, but and that there's nothing wrong with that. We're still friends. They follow me on Facebook and things like that. But sometimes you do outgrow customers, and if I'm not in the price that they want, I know who to send them to that would fit their budget. So
yeah. I love that because I think the number one thing you see on forums is how much should I charge? And I think all of us, I don't care what business you're in, you're afraid to raise prices because you're afraid of how your existing customers are going to respond. And I think I like that idea of setting a 3-year time limit because you're like, look, I've had pricing at this for 3 years. And I'm like, man, maybe that's something we should adopt because you're setting an expectation that I'm honoring what you came on board with, but I'm also realizing that the market's changing, inflation's happening, things are changing in the world. And so I have to adjust so that I can grow as a business too. So I love that. I love that strategy. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, I do. I
think it's a good one.
People are scared, and legitimately, there's a fear in raising your prices that, and then all my business crashes.
Yeah.
But, if we look around the world at everything else, prices go up. The thing about it is I think you have to do it. You have to give your customers an expectation, right? If my customers know that my price changes on January 1st, I've never had anybody complain about it, right? The sides of our business, the custom side of our business that we do, I've never had anybody complain about that because they're prepared for it. They know what's going to happen. If you all of a sudden tomorrow just raise the price, people are like, whoa, what's going on here? But I think that's also, it has to be, we were having this conversation yesterday is are you pricing for the value of what you're doing? Or are you just randomly throwing a number out there? And I think that pricing for value pricing is the way to go because, you look at ceramics and people are like, oh man, years ago when ceramic coatings first came out, I'm not going to pay $2,000 to ceramic coat my car, and you're like, how much would it be to repaint your car? You're $18,000 for a paint job. So the $2,000 to ceramic coat it and protect it for, a good 3 years if you maintain it.
Yeah.
That is money well spent. You're less than $1,000 a year. So it's a value proposition. It's not when people start thinking about it as, okay, I got a price because I got to cover the lights and then the insurance. That's a good start, but you've got a price for value, not for covering your stuff. That should be a given. That's a given thing. If you can't cover your expenses, you're not going to be in business. So you said you've been doing this 11 years, which is amazing.
Thank you.
That you've been doing that. Whenever somebody says that to me and they're over 10 years, I always want to pause them and say, you realize that most businesses go out of business the first year. And then
yeah,
the less than 50% that go past their first year go out of business in their 5th year. And then there's a smaller percentage that go on to their 10th year. And now you're over that 10th year, 11th year. So
kudos.
That's really, that's a big
Thank
pat
you.
on the back for that, because it's not an easy industry, right? I mean, you're completely driven by the market and every other thing in the world that's going on, what's happening around us. Detailing is a luxury, right? We all know that.
Yeah.
It's something that, if the proverbial shit hits the fan, people stop doing luxury things. So unless there's something like, do you do anything
unless you own
commercial?
a yacht.
Yeah, are you doing like commercial? Do you do like commercial stuff? Is there anybody that like commercial fishermen or somebody that are out there in the area that have you do their boats?
No, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, different market. That's why I asked.
I'm like, I don't
that's
even
a totally
want to touch
different
that.
market, because that's more of a that's totally different. That's
Well, I mean, I do like so I do obviously like private owners, right? Like I guess like a regular car. Like I'm not gonna do like if I did cars, I wouldn't do fleet vehicles. I would have no interest in doing that. That's not my burning desire. Really, I do the boats that I do. I know the people. I mean, if you heard me talk with Keith, like I've been around a lot of these people for a while. I've met a lot of these people sitting in that office with my dad. Not that I was there all the time, but I was in trouble enough to sit there enough to meet people. And but I really the boats that I do are not they're private owners. I do work with some captains. So but that's really what it is.
Yeah,
so.
And I think that's
I'm not gonna do a fishing boat.
Knowing
ever.
your market, and that's why I bring up the fleet vehicles or the fleet fishermen and stuff. Knowing your market and knowing where you want to be.
Yeah.
And I think that's the advantage that you have over other people, is because you kind of grew up with that and you knew what you wanted to be involved in. It's kind of like I started out in automotive years and years ago, and Jody's for years he's done, dude, you need to open a shop. And I'm like, I could make a living changing the brakes on mom's minivan, but that's not what gets me excited.
No.
If you want to bring me, classic cars all day long and let me do stuff on that, absolutely. That's what drives me. If I was going to continue to do anything mechanical or paint work and everything, it would be on hot rods and things like that. That's what gets me going. I don't want to work on a Honda. So I think we lost her.
I think she froze.
Yeah, the weather
at least she froze with a smile.
That's right. That's how I want to freeze.
She was enjoying the conversation.
She's dropped completely off at
this
point.
So we lost her. So anyway, dude, I have a great affinity for boats, as you guys know, and to me, if I were doing boat detailing, the one question I wanted to ask her was, does she do the majority of her work on the marina, or is she working on boats as they're being pulled out? Right? Because, dude, I literally, last time I was in Marina Del Rey, Devin and I were taking a sailboat out, and there is probably 120 foot. I call it the Prince boat. It's 120 feet, and it's Prince Purple, right? And there were these 4 guys that were standing on these little floaties, and they were attached with lines to the edge of the yacht, and they were literally polishing the side of the boat. And I'm like, there is no way I would want to be standing on a little 4-inch floaty tethered to the boat while I'm trying to polish.
And I've seen some of the videos of some of the guys doing that on the marina that we've talked to, and Nathan Warren out in Florida now, and some of these guys that are doing that. I'm just like, I don't want to be standing on the side of a boat in a boat,
like,
no.
I mean, I could do it from the dock, but I don't know if I'd want to be on because every little wave or every little boat that drove by is going to cause a little ripple, and you're up there trying to be consistent on your policy.
And when we were in either Nathan Warren's or Rashid's shop, I'm like, you got the cover, and you've got some sort of, you can do something with the air, or you can either cool it or heat it or something where you're not dealing with the elements. And because I don't know if you know this or not, but this particular part of my body right here is a weather meter. It's a weather meter. Yeah, there you go. There you go. She's back,
and it looks like we got her back.
There you go.
What happened? I just was sitting here and it just said it was disconnected.
Yeah, I don't know. That's okay. We kept the conversation.
The world of the internet.
So I'm going to ask you a question that we were talking about while you were offline. Do you work mainly on the marina, or do you work on boats that have been pulled out, or both?
I do both. Primarily in the water. If they get hauled out, cool. But the size boats that I'm doing, they might not just want to get hauled out for us to do their hull. We can do a lot in the water. We probably can hit, I want to say, like 97% of the hull.
Wow. That was my question, because you're doing such large vessels that I'm like, they can't be pulling those out of the water. So,
well, if some of them are pulled out, like we just work with the yards and just come into the yard. But which I like, because the one yard that I work at, they have lifts. Which is obviously where I'm gonna be in a lift these days. I'm not going on a ladder. So but
you act like a fall affected your desire to get up high.
A ladder in the water. I'm waiting to see a situation where somebody's in the shallows and they've got a ladder that's in the water.
No, they're propping it on
a floaty. I did that.
I have a photo. If you scroll through my Instagram, you'll see it. There is a photo when I worked for another company, and the dude put the 2 ladders in the water and the board on top of it. And I'm laying on my back buffing like that.
Oh my God. I gotta go see that.
Yeah, I gotta go see that. I have a picture that is not OSHA approved of me, and I've got a ladder.
I got a lot of those.
The back of a pickup leaned up against a building, a 2-story building, and it's strapped in with a ratchet strap and somebody holding it. And I'm on the very, very top rung of a ladder in the back of a pickup strapped in. And
that is why women live longer than men.
Yeah, I do think one of my kids had the phone, and they literally had like 9-1, and they were just waiting for me to fall off. So
that's funny.
We have a lot of OSHA, non-OSHA approved pictures still. What's that?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
That's good. So I have a question about being in business 11 years, right? What would you have done differently than you did when you first started out?
I honestly don't know. Like, if there was anything I could have done different. Well, no, I do know. Okay, year 2, I probably wouldn't have listened to the old guy that told me to say yes to everybody.
Yes. Oh. Exactly. Don't say yes to everybody. Yep.
He said when nobody canceled, it really, like, I really could have shut down year 2. I think about that because I remember, but I also remember a conversation I had with a client. I saw him. We were just looking at his dinghy that was like out of the water, and he was just like, he's like, you look like something's wrong. And I told him what was wrong, and I was like, I'm about to quit, I'm about to leave, and I was telling him, like, I was ready to just shut it down. But I think that would be one thing I would not take every job, but I was still trying to build my business. So I took everything. Like, I took everything, and I think that you don't have to take everything, but I didn't know that then. I know it's interesting because it's like, I don't feel like I know a lot about business, but I do. But then I was just like, I need to build clientele, and then, I need to build so that, like, because I wanted to get to that point where I didn't have to work, and I did get to that point very quickly. Because at year 3, I stopped working. I had a crew. I didn't have to work, but I think that was like, but that wasn't my plan. I didn't have a plan of like how it went. But I think it's like that. I would have said no a lot more. Cool. And I would have paid attention to people's personalities as well. Like that's something like I didn't care. Oh, it's fine. Like, it's fine. I still need the job, but I should have cared about that because I think that was a little bit destructive for like my mental. And I don't think we always think about that when we start. We just think like, I need the job. I want to make the money. I want to do a good job, but we don't think about how people affect us. And, you know, it's like, now I don't work for people that are mean or, you know.
Yeah. No, that's a really great thing. That's the thing. Yeah, we will not lower our integrity for somebody like that. I've told people, and actually he's still a client, but we had a customer several years ago. This is probably 5 or 6 years ago. He's been a customer of ours, but he was just, like you're saying, mean. He just spoke down to everybody, and finally I just told him, I said, hey, you know what? We're probably not the right company for you. You probably should find somebody else because we are, we just don't do business that way. That's not how we treat people. And
yeah,
totally. The only time it's ever happened in my life, but he 180 degrees. He has been a customer of ours for 5 or 6 years now. Never had another issue with him. But I think that sometimes people are like that you just have to set the bar, and we set the bar pretty high as far as you don't treat people that way. We treat people the way we would want to be treated. And if there's a conflict, I can talk to you about a conflict and say, hey, this is the situation. This is what happened. Even if it's something catastrophic, right? Yeah, one of my guys had a problem, and there's a bar through the side of your boat. Our problem, we'll take care of it. You just have to have integrity. And that, I think, is something that some people don't. They think they have to, like you said, take everything, and that all the crap that's thrown at you, you have to take. And in this industry,
the customer's always right.
No, that's garbage. The customer knows what they want, and sometimes you have to help them to realize that what they want may not be the best thing. And you can give them options, but at the end of the day, if they want the low-end service, that's fine. You're going to give them the low-end service. But as far as how they treat you, you don't take that garbage.
When I think about that one where we had years ago, where I was the main point of contact, and we just kept reaching a point where I'm like, we are not going to do that. It is not in the best interest of you nor us. Yeah. And he's like, well, I'm tired of dealing with you. Let me deal with Rod.
So then he went to me. And then when I told him the same thing, he just said, okay, fine, I want to deal with Jody. And we just kept passing him back and forth, giving him the same story. We aren't going to deal with it.
And finally he fired himself.
He fired himself, which is great. But
so,
Yes. Well, and I've had, I think, like a handful of people that I won't work with. But I really learned this actually after my ladder fall. That's when I learned like people, and I never really had thought about it. But when the captain told me what the owner said is that they wanted me like that one, he said, it's just a boat, right? And we're talking that's at that point in time, he had a 74-foot boat. So, and I was just kind of like, oh, but he was more concerned about my well-being and me healing and being okay than coming back to try to finish when I wouldn't have been. But when I heard the comments that he said, but when he said it's just a boat, I really took that, and I thought about it a lot. I still think about it because now that's how I look at things. Like, these are just boats. These are luxury items for you. Not everybody has a boat, and I don't ever want somebody to talk to me like when I'm sick and expect me to be, or if I'm hurt, to be out. The weather is crazy to be out there, like that's unrealistic. People who, it's like, if we're on your boat and then it's like, if I got sick, they'll be like, well, when's my boat gonna get done? I'm sorry, like, I'm sick, like, that some of these things just happen. Like, I just got done having a small bout of pneumonia. It's like, what, like, I'm not gonna kill myself for somebody's boat. And so, but and this is one of the richest dudes in Seattle, saying this. And so when he said that, I was like, man, well, he knows something. So I'm going to listen, and I'm going to go about now that's how I really do go about my business. If there isn't an understanding that you're not going to boss me around, like, you can't boss me around. You hired me to do the job. I'll do the job, but not at the expense of my mental health or anything like that.
Right.
I love that, man. That is
and I think,
so good.
Yeah, I think people need to do a lot more self-care. People need to realize that is, you don't need to work, till 2 o'clock in the morning. You don't need to go till your fingers are bleeding. You don't need to go until you need some kind of physical therapy. You need to take care of yourself. And I think so many times we don't do that, and we end up, hey, don't look at me. No, and I'm the worst one. The reason he's looking at me is I am the worst one.
I'm always begging him to take a vacation.
Right. I work myself way too much. And I think that is something that I've learned over the last, what, 18
couple
years?
Like a week.
But you've gotten better. You definitely have gotten better.
It's one of those things where I personally, I look at it like if I'm not there, something's going to go wrong. Not because I'm the greatest, but because I want to be there to catch it. Right? It's like, let me fix that. Let me fix that. So I think that's one of those realizations you have to come to, is that it's not going to end. The world's not going to come to an end if you skip a day of work.
Yeah, so. and Rod, dude, he is a great partner. I just will give him a shout out. And sometimes when I take a day off, I have to make sure that I'm not allowing myself to feel guilty.
Yeah, you should.
Right?
Yeah,
because it's easy to go, oh man, I could have been doing this, or I should have been doing that, instead of going, you know what, I need to step back. There's some time that I need to take with my wife or with my kids or whatever. And dude, when you can get into that place, dude, it really helps you, because there's power in resetting. There's power in stepping away and taking care of yourself, sitting back and going, man, check out that sea lion.
Well, that eagle. One of the things that Jake and we used to have it written on a whiteboard in our office, but somebody gave us feedback several years ago, and they said, you need to slow down to speed up. And what they mean by that is sometimes you need to slow down and step back and go, hold on a second. We're running 100 miles an hour. And if we just slowed down a little bit and double check that, reread that email, make sure that everything's the way it should be. Okay, now go. You actually end up going faster and growing smarter.
That's where
that is
learning to grow.
That is something that growing smarter sometimes means having less employees. It means doing less services. We've talked to so many detailers that their list of services is this freaking long. And when you go, what do you actually do the most of? Well, right here's where I make all my money. Okay, so why are you even offering those other things? If PPFing a headlight takes more time than it's worth, don't do it. Stop doing that. Do the things that make you money. Right? I always use this analogy that my and I really literally saw this. My grandfather used to tell me all the time, he's like, at the end of the day, when you're sitting there in a chair, you're going to be talking to somebody about your family or the adventures you took and things like that. You know, you might talk about what you did for a job, but that's not what is important. It's not important that you were a CEO or that you were, a general or whatever. And I actually got to see that. My grandfather, World War II vet, was sitting in a home where vets could go. They had their own door, and he had his car and everything. And he was literally sitting on a back porch talking to a guy. And that's what they were talking about. They were talking about their families and their adventures and things they had done and laughing and joking. They weren't talking about the jobs they did. They weren't talking about, I worked till midnight to please this one dude. No, the hell with that. So,
well, I get that completely. Like, I have a switch off. Like, I actually learned from Rennie. Him and his wife both told me, they're like, you need to go by the 7 to 7 rule. So from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. you don't talk about work. And I still follow that, even whether I at the time might have had a partner. I don't know. I don't remember. That's probably why they told me. But I follow that, and I follow that really kind of to the T. Even when I was in Dallas recently, some guy came up to me, and I was at like the Audubon conference, and a guy came up to me, and I think it was like 11 o'clock at night, and he kept talking about work, and I was like, dude, I don't care. Like, I do not care. I was like, you can talk to me tomorrow. Yep. Because it's like 11 p.m.
Yeah.
But I follow that to the T, because I'm like, I'm not here. Like, yes, we're at a conference, but and I told him later, I was like, I wasn't trying to be rude, but I follow this thing, and I was like, I don't, like, if you have questions, ask me during like this time, because I was going to be speaking the next day anyway.
Yeah.
But I kept telling him, he would ask me something. I'm like, I'm not answering that.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
It's not. I don't.
I started doing that in the events that we go to after, like any after hours events that we go to. It actually started years ago because, and I'm not a huge drinker, but I'm like, I don't ever want to mix alcohol and business. It's not a good combination. So I started doing this years ago, where if I had a drink or something and somebody started talking about work, I'd say, let's talk about it tomorrow. Because, tonight I'm just here to have a good time.
I just want to have a good time.
Right.
With you.
And so we started any of
time.
these after hours events, no matter what we're doing, I want to talk about other stuff.
Yeah.
Hey,
Your
what are you
family,
doing? What do you do
kids.
afterwards? How's your dog? Your dog's, I tell your dog I said hi. And then, that kind of stuff, because that's what's important to people. And that's actually how you connect with somebody, Find out, you'll be talking to somebody, they'll be like, oh man, you got bulldogs? Oh yeah, I got 2 of them, blah, 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 blah. And you start making those connections, and that is, you become closer to them. It's more than just a polish or a wax or a paint job. So.
And honestly, like at those events, I mean, I think those events are great, but if we're truly there for networking, I want to network with people that I can connect with outside of just boats. I want to know like about you, and I want to know, like, if I don't know about you, like, what if I don't like you when you want to connect with me, like in a work setting. Not that I wouldn't connect with somebody just because of something like that, but I want to know things, because I don't want to just talk about boats all day and like, what polish should I use, and what polish do I use, and what film do I use, and why am I holding a buffer this way, and what do I think about that? Like, I don't think about some of the stuff, the questions that I get. I really don't think that deep. It's not that deep to me.
Yeah.
Like, I use what works. I like what I do. I enjoy what I do. And I like the people I know, because we have a different relationship that's not just based around detailing.
Yeah. Well,
so I think that's huge for me. It's just, I want the connection. Like, I like the connections.
Yeah.
So
I think that I'm about to make a statement that's probably going to piss off people in the detailing industry. So get ready. Here's the sound clip. But really, what products or what tools you use, a lot of that is just personal preference. And it's what works at the time for the particular substrate you're working on. I see so many of these younger people what should I use for a polish? Use whatever you like. If you don't like the way it clumps up when you're using it on a rotary, don't use it. If you don't like the dust, don't use it. Maybe you're overworking it. Go with the manufacturer's recommendations, get trained, and find something that works for you, right? Jody was not in the detailing industry prior to us. When the first time I saw Jody try to use a DA on a boat, he was fighting it so hard. And so we were actually at the rag company.
Scott Mesha.
Somebody handed him a rotary.
Oh, yes.
And it was like Jody was coming home. He picked up a rotary, and he started polishing on this really oxidized red boat. It's actually
my boat.
It was a pink boat, and now it's red. Now he started polishing with a rotary, and he's just like, yeah. And you're like, okay, that's what works. Yeah. That's what works for you. And he actually does it offhand, what I would call offhand. He's right-handed, but he uses the trigger on his left hand because his right hand can help him control it more. That's totally fine. Whatever works for you. And if you find a company, a product company or a tool company that you're comfortable with, and like you said, you make a connection with them, that's great. We have got so many moments that people don't have access to, and we are so grateful because we get to work with so many companies,
so many people,
every tool company, every chemical company. But there are certain companies that I really, really like because the people that run the company are there for you. And I just, there's no other way to say it. It's not about the products. It's not about the whatever, the support number. It's about the people. And that's what matters.
Yeah. I think like, I love what's going on behind like closed doors in companies. Like I love seeing that, like for instance, like I obviously work with like Autobahn, and that's the film that we use. I mean, we've used other films, and I think the other films are great too. But it's really what's behind the closed doors. Like it's how they treat us. Are they supporting my business? Are they like encouraging me? Can they like all these things? And that's one reason why like with Autobahn, I just beyond like every time I talk to somebody there. I mean, I talked to somebody this morning, and I'm always just reminded like, yep, okay. This is why I come back, because yes, it's a smaller company, but they really do care about the people that are using that product. And I think there's other products that it's also, when I look at these products and I go to like MTE or I go to SEMA and I look at how are they presenting themselves? Like, just because you have the biggest booth and just because you have a ton of people, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get the same back end support as somebody else. But also that goes to say, for a smaller booth, they might not have the same thing too. They might have the best support behind them, but they might not have a really good product. But at the end of the day, it's for me, it's like what feels good in my hands and Ren is my employee, and what feels good in her hands. You know, we both are textual people, so I'm pretty conscious about that. What's going to get the job done quickly? Like, yes, outside of this last boat, we're not trying to be on boats that like for more than 2 weeks. You know, we want to use something that's going to get us from start to finish in the most efficient manner. And also, like, when it comes to money, you know, it's like, okay, yes, how much is it? But there's some companies where like they got some really inexpensive products, and then their products are absolutely amazing. And then there's some companies where their products are like, they're supposed to be superior, but they're so expensive and they're really not, you know? Yeah. And so I don't think it matters what I use on a boat. I think what matters is what is best for you, because also how I run a polisher is different from how you run a polisher, and I might run it in a way that I can use these products, but I can't use what you're using, and you might run it in a way that your products are just gonna make me mad because I can't use it.
It's environment, it's all those, there's so many factors. It's environment, it's humidity, it's the person behind the polisher, it's the amount of pressure, there's so many differences, and there's certain things that are always true, right? GM paint always sucks. You can flick it with your finger and it cracks. It's super brittle. Tesla paint is about the thinnest thing in the world. But there's other things that are always there. Like, in theory, gel coat, you can really hammer it because it's thick. And that's one of the reasons I like boats, is because that you have more of a thing. And I have a tendency
more to work with.
I'm one of these weird guys that I have on a rotary, I really push down because that's how I grew up. I grew up with a rotary and just bend and go, man, turn and burn. But with the DA, I have a tendency not to put enough pressure. I've had people come to me when we're polishing on something, and they literally will put their finger down and be like, you need to put some pressure on that. So I have to
go with that 20 pounds.
I gotta work within the range of this right here. And so I think that so many people are stuck and hung up on that. Which product should I use? I can tell you that every company has a product that's good. Every company has their best product, right? And because of that, you should try different things, but find a company that services you. And it's more, like I said, it's more about the people. And I've got probably 5 or 6 product companies that I really love, that I think are great people. And I'm not talking about their products. They're two different things. There's a wall. You know, you've got P&S, the Dave and Mike Phillips. You've got PDP, Mike and Mike and their sons. There is 3D was great people. You've got Angel Wax is the most. I mean, they're literally a family. You've got Stark Chemicals that are good chemicals. I don't even know the people.
I don't know the people yet.
But you know, you've got all these different companies that are really, really good. And you know, Glass Parency. I mean, you know,
you can name
you could keep naming all these great companies out there.
And we lost her.
There, she's back.
She's back.
She's back again. So
oh my God.
What about that is find the people that you work with that you really like, and stay with them. You know, Rupes, Flex, Barjack. You know, there's so many people. The one that Levi just went to work for the company that's
the ice thing.
I mean, dude, just freaking looks like
and you look at that,
Star Wars,
look at those people. And I think sometimes people get criticized for moving from one company to another. Liquid Elements. You move from one company to another, but that's just natural human behavior.
Yeah.
But do those people service you the same way? Like, you know, with Keith DuPlessis, he's been at 2 different companies that I know of, and he's also done stuff for himself. But Keith is always Keith. He's always a solid person.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's where I think it comes into play, because there's certain people that I know, if I called them on the phone, they would be there tomorrow. Right. I could say, hey, I got a big project, and they'd be like, where do I need to show up?
Yeah.
So anyway.
Well, Angela.
Yeah, there's
go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say there's a lot of I mean, when it comes to products, there's just a lot of things, like, because I train with people on how to detail boats.
Yeah.
And but I'm never really like yes, they're going to use what I use in that moment of training if they come out here. But if I go to them, I'm using what they use. But I think that, for instance, like I have like one of the companies like right in the back door of where I live, there's like Griot's Garage is right here. It's 7 minutes from my house. So when I look at stuff, and the majority of us actually use their stuff because their stuff is very underrated, honestly. And I tell Guy that I'm like, your stuff is underrated. I know where their stuff is made. I know where their pads are made. And why am I going to order something when I can drive 7 minutes to just go pick it up? Also, that's something that I think about too. Exactly. And those guys are like absolutely amazing. But I still also think it's funny when people come and visit Griot's from like across the country and they're amazed at their store because I'm there all the time. And I'm just like, what is so amazing about this? But then I realize like, oh, they've never, they're ordering. But I think when it comes like for anybody, products are products. You're going to use what fits you and your business structure and stuff like that. But products don't make your business though. That's the thing. That's the big difference is people think that if they use like certain products, if they like for boat detailing, they think if they use Stark or if they use 3M or if they use any of that stuff, that's what makes their business. But that's not true. What makes the business is what are you doing? How is your service? How like coming out in the end? How are you interacting with your clients and the quality of work that's going out? Like what are the expectations? What are your standards? That's what makes your business. The products, that's nothing. That's not even 1% of what people like should look at, but so many people are like, I use Stark and that's their only thing. Nothing wrong with Stark. I use Stark, but that's not my only thing. Like, it's like
Angela
Stark isn't making my business.
Yeah, and I think that's one of those things.
Mic drop.
You can put a caption on these and throw them out there as a soundbite, and some people are going to argue about it, but customers don't care what brand of product you use.
No,
customers. We had a customer
they just want the result.
Years ago that told me, he goes, "I'm buying you. I'm not buying your product. It's you that they're dealing with, and it's the expectation of the service they're going to get at the end, right? It's I can use. It doesn't matter. I can use whatever, right? And it's a bottle and it's some stuff that I'm putting on it. It's what it sees at the end, right? It's like that's what they see and they expect that, so therefore they don't care.
And
if you hired me, you want me to do the job, right? You don't care about like you don't care where I'm going to get my stuff. I mean, they might ask me, but they don't know those people. They trust your clientele should trust what you're doing, right? So they trust me to come work on their boat and get it how they want it to look and reach their expectation and my expectation. What I use in the meantime to get there is up to me. Like,
right, and
but it does not make
comfortable with a product. You're obviously going to gravitate towards it. If I'm an IGL guy and I like Mike Carlin and Dustin Jackson and I've been using their stuff forever, I'm going to continue to do that. If I'm an Angel Wax guy and I use that or Stark or doesn't matter, put insert chemical name here. Whatever you use that works for you. Again, it's the people. It's the people, man. And there's some great people in this industry. For all the crap that people talk about the detailing industry,
there's a lot of good.
There are some really good
amazing
people. We've named a bunch of them on here. We're gonna forget 150 of them. There's another great boat guy that just popped into my head. It's Parker Richards.
Oh yeah,
Parker Richards has done boats.
I love Parker.
Him and his twin brother.
He's good
but
too.
There's really good people in our industry, and I think that more and more people are coming together. Right? You see, like you said, you went to Rashid's shop to train. Right? Rashid has been to other people's shops, Mike's Marine Care. And so you got all these people that are collaborating, and that is what I think really helps, right? If you called us up tomorrow and said, hey, I'm in this area, we've got this 100-foot yacht, and we're doing this event, and we're going to have 50 people and all stuff, man, we'd be on a plane tomorrow. We'd be out there tomorrow just to be part of it and to do our podcast and to have the experience of working on something like that.
Yeah, it'd be super fun.
And I think that more people need to take the opportunity to put themselves out there, and a lot of people don't have that personality. They're very reserved and all that kind of stuff. But man, put yourself out there and get involved in some of these events with other people, collaborate, do some joint ventures with people.
Go to training.
Every time we go to something like that, it energizes you. You get excited about doing something different. You come up with new ideas, new techniques, new tools, new whatever. So anyway,
well, dude,
thank you so much.
This has been such a great conversation. Clearly, we can keep going, But I want to be respectful of your time, Rod's time. He's got someplace he's got to be. But guys, if you don't know Amanda, you need to connect with
Angela.
her.
It's Angela.
Elite.
It's okay, but if you pay me,
stupid.
If you pay me money, you can call me almost whatever you want.
Give me money. Give me
Here
money.
you go. There, he'll fix it.
There you go.
It's
So
Angela.
I'm like, I must have been talking to my niece when I did
there.
that.
It's Angela
So
Gilham.
Angela Gilham. Sorry, my bad.
MarineProtection.com in the Seattle Gig Harbor
area.
And I'll tell you what, the next time we come down there, because we're down there a lot, it's used to be $69 a flight to go to Seattle.
Used to be. What happened to that?
But we next time we're down there, we definitely need to come down and check out where you're at.
I would love that.
We will let you know for sure that we're coming down, because we'd love to see your operation and see how you do your stuff and do some live
And I want to
stuff.
go see her favorite yacht, the Carver.
The Carver. I am one of the only people that around here. Got a method that works, surprisingly.
That's good. That's good. Yeah. So anyway, go check out her Instagram feed and go discover what she thinks about Carver boats. So,
and also go out, like, subscribe to our YouTube channel, or do that. Just, you know what, it's one of those things where everybody that has a YouTube channel says that, but it really does help us keep doing this. Jody and I don't own Lamborghinis.
This is our
we're not
590th episode. We're 10 away from 600.
600 episodes. That is crazy. So please go out there and do that, and follow and help out your local detailer, even if that local means 400 miles away.
Angela, thank you so much.
Thank you.
It was great conversation.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Sorry I got disconnected so many times.
Oh, you're good. We don't care.
We're flexible.
We don't care. You came back, and that's what's important. So we're all good.
We're great. Guys, thank you so much for tapping in, and we will check you same time, same bad channel just next week. See ya.
See ya.